Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. We're sitting here having a big discussion about CM Punk here in 2019, talking about wrestling. Some people love when I bring up the CM Punk return to WWE. Some people hate it. Basically think that it's slander, YouTube, just trying to get the clicks. But three topics today to discuss about CM Punk. Very easy to combine all three. I think this is a very topic-related video. I don't think that it's just throwing something up in the middle of nowhere. But on a video day when there's three headlines about CM Punk, basically a Barroom Sports interview with CM Punk where he was asked about returning to wrestling, a Ariel Helwani podcast with Triple H, when Ariel Helwani asked Triple H if CM Punk is welcome to return to WWE, and then a story about the Fox people moving on from CM Punk as a candidate to be one of the hosts of WWE Backstage on FS1. Honestly, very easy to tackle the Fox moving on from CM Punk to be one of the hosts. Honestly, I think that the WWE Backstage Show has been, I think that it's been on the air for at least 2 weeks now. I can honestly say, as a pretty big wrestling fan who just about follows everyone there is on Twitter, I can honestly say I've only seen one thing about the FS1 show. That was basically Renee Young having some sort of a rap battle where she basically called out someone on Twitter who said that basically she got fired from her job as the Raw commentator, and she basically said that she was making that Fox money now, and then she might have lost that job, but she got a new one, and that's really all that I know. I think that honestly, a Fox Sports 1 show about WWE that is shot 3 times a week, talking about the kayfabe world of WWE at the same time that WWE is running their own show on the WWE Network, as well as on YouTube and on Facebook, that show being called The Bump. I don't really see where the wrestling fan is that's going to watch that show. And if I'm Fox or Fox Sports 1, I'm desperately trying to get any name recognition there is to jump on that show. WWE is more than likely going to run out of the, I guess you can say, retired retreads that are going to be able to have any interest in people to jump in. I don't know if Christian was only on the first episode or if Christian is going to be like some sort of a permanent guest, but he's not somebody that's going to be making me run to the television. I don't even know what time this show is on, honestly, to tell you the truth. And I don't think many wrestling fans out there do. And I don't think a discussion show on WWE is going to make the casual viewer flipping around trying to see, somebody talking about baseball or basketball or anything like that. I watch a lot of the talk shows that are on ESPN every day. I watch High Noon, Highly Questionable, Pardon the Interruption. Around the Horn isn't my favorite show, but if they got like Stu Gatz on there or Sarah Spain, even Mia Kimes, I'll stop. Almost anybody else, I'm gonna keep going, and it's just sort of like, just give me the PTI. To me, honestly, if CM Punk joins that show, I think that it makes it a little bit interesting, that I might want to check it out. At least watch an episode to see if he's going to say anything that is out there. But I even think that CM Punk joining that show doesn't really make me want to do it. I don't really want to watch, Raw. I don't really want to watch wrestling from that company. I don't really know if I really want to watch somebody discussing what is going on in that company, especially stuff that I know that is bad, somebody from the company trying to get out there. So let's connect the other 2 dots. The Ariel Helwani podcast with Triple H and the Barroom Sports interview, or is it Barstool? I apologize. Barstool Sports interview with CM Punk. Both of these asked the other one about the other. CM Punk basically said that he is open to returning to wrestling, something that I've honestly thought that he was not interested in at all. I guess during the StarCast interview, he said that basically he is open to going back to WWE, that it is going to take a big bag. I'm guessing that he's talking about a big bag of money for him to return back to WWE. He is not going to be the one to make the call, but basically if his phone rings, he is going to answer it. Triple H basically said that Vince is always open to doing business with almost just about anybody. That sort of means that if WWE thinks that CM Punk is going to move the needle, that it is something that they can make money with, that yeah, they are looking to bring somebody back. I mean, basically people like Bruno Sammartino, Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior, people that we thought there was no chance in hell once they had jumped brands and gone and done something else, were ever going to be welcome back to the company, and they were able to come back. Most of these guys, Hogan had a little bit of a run where he actually got to wrestle. Ultimate Warrior, Bruno Sammartino, got to go into the Hall of Fame and get that last hurrah for their career, and make a little bit of merch money. Ultimate Warrior, I'm sure that they were thinking was going to be around for the company a little bit longer, but he ended up passing away right after his Hall of Fame induction. Ended up getting his wife a job with the company. Last I heard, she was on the writing team. I don't really know, what else she does, but it seemed like she had a podcast for a little bit, and they were just trying anything to keep the Warrior family in good graces with WWE. To me, honestly, I'm guessing, when CM Punk says it's going to take a big bag for him to return, I'm guessing he's talking about a big bag with dollar signs on it, a big bag full of money. That makes me honestly think about Brian Pillman in WCW. Brian Pillman, as told by Dave Meltzer many times, basically had a contract number, I think it was $750,000, that he wanted to sign with WCW, because in his eyes, that would mean he would make as much money as somebody like Lex Luger, which would mean that they would have to use him to a Lex Luger sort of status, where he would have a push, he would be involved in the main storylines, he would get wins, he might even get title wins, he'd be featured on pay-per-views, because WCW would want to make a return on the money that they were putting into him. He just wouldn't be the highest paid jobber on the roster. They would be actually be using him because they were paying him. They want to get the most out of him for what it was. And he always thought that basically the dollar value would raise his stock in the company. We know that, from the dying days of WCW, basically the guys that got paid the most got used the most. And then that sort of became what was the Millionaires Club versus the New Blood storyline, because the old guys wouldn't get out of the way for the newer guys to move, and we didn't have any progression in the company. One of the reasons why guys like Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, Perry Saturn, Eddie Guerrero all jumped ship. When they were in WCW, they ended up joining WWE, even the night after Chris Benoit won the championship on a WCW pay-per-view, because Kevin Sullivan was coming into Power, and because of the whole Kevin Sullivan, Chris Benoit real-life friction, he ended up leaving the company thinking that they were trying to hold him back even after they let him win the championship, that as a way to show that there was really going to be no bad blood between them. So I'll tell you at this point, WWE, they gotta be now getting to the point where they're going to be willing to throw that money out there. We know that they're making a huge amount of money, whether if it's from the Fox deal paying them $4 billion, whether if it's from the Saudi people paying them for the Crown Jewel pay-per-view, whether if it's from USA Network overpaying to keep Monday Night Raw on the network because they don't have a hit show currently at this point, and it's the only thing that keeps them getting ratings, so they're able to say that they're number one in cable. That means a lot to them. That was the whole reason why they brought SmackDown on before it ended up leaving to go to Fox, just to keep that rating up. They didn't want that much wrestling on the network. They didn't want to become the wrestling network, but because they didn't have a hit show like Suits or Burn Notice or anything else that drew ratings to them for so long that, wrestling was all they had to fall back on. So I don't know. I mean, WWE, they hire Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman to run Raw and SmackDown. They've already fired Eric Bischoff. They've now put Bruce Pritchard into that job. I don't really know if they're just going to just go down the list and keep firing people. When you're looking to grab free agents and have them make an impact on the roster, you can't keep putting people out there like Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair week after week. You can't even call up Stone Cold Steve Austin because we know that he's not really going to be getting in the ring and taking bumps. It's almost with Stone Cold Steve Austin. As of late, we've seen him so much that you can announce Austin's going to be on Raw next week, and I don't even think that he's going to draw a number. So you need somebody who's going to join the roster and not have to go through the Performance Center, through NXT. You need somebody to make a roster move right now. And because there's so many companies, Impact, New Japan, AEW, there's nobody else out there except for CM Punk. So, I mean, I've always been against the fact that I didn't think Vince would call CM Punk. We all knew that Vince definitely wasn't going to call CM Punk. CM Punk wasn't going to call Vince. I got lost there for a second. I apologize. I admit it. But I'm at the point now where maybe Vince doesn't make the call, but Vince makes somebody else make it. We already know that basically CM Punk doesn't like Vince. He doesn't like Triple H. Maybe Paul Heyman is the guy that picks up the phone and is the middleman and basically finally squeezes them into a room. Who was that? Where basically it was Jim Ross who got Austin and McMahon basically in the same room after the 2002 walkout of Stone Cold Steve Austin on Monday Night Raw. Basically, they knew that if they got him in the same room, they'd be able to do business, come up with a plan, and Austin would be able to come back to the company. They ended up leading to Austin's last match, which came sooner than I think a lot of them thought, at WrestleMania 19. But at least we got that last run from Stone Cold Steve Austin instead of just him leaving in 2002, much like how CM Punk left Monday Night Raw after the Royal Rumble years ago. I'm surprised that Punk isn't looking for a job with somebody like AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan. Maybe he knows that the money that those companies can offer aren't really the same as what WWE can do it. And at this point in his career, if he's going to come back to wrestling for a year, 2 years, if he's going to be a part-timer, a lot like Brock Lesnar, Cain Velasquez, or anybody else like that, maybe he knows the only company that can offer him the money he's looking for is WWE. But it looks like as of right now, I mean, that's what it's going to be. And I mean, if you're like me and you know that WWE is the way it is right now, how are you not at the point you're at least able to swing that just a little bit and say, maybe Punk is going to come back. Maybe they are going to find a way, like just have Heyman get these two guys in the same room and just use his ECW powers. And I didn't know you were going to be here. And how did you get here? I didn't know. I can't do a good Heyman impression, but you know what I mean? Like, act like it's the happy coincidence, and then he's going to, I got to take this phone call, walk out of the room, and then these two guys are in there. Maybe like the Brett thing, maybe Punk will walk up, he'll punch Triple H in the face. Vince will see the guts in that and just give the guy $4 billion to come back. I mean, I don't know. If anything's going to happen, there's a good chance at this point this could. So there's no news to have, but when you break this down, we might be closer to CM Punk returning to WWE than we've ever been in the past.